The crystal spires of the imperial palace caught the light of 3 suns, sending rainbow patterns dancing across the grand hall. Anna stood before her father's throne, her hands trembling slightly at her sides. The weekly court session had turned into her worst nightmare as Lord Vorn, High Commander of the Celestial Empire, rose from his crystalline throne with thunder in his eyes. "My daughter," he said, his voice echoing through the vast chamber, "you have failed our bloodline." Each word fell like a heavy stone in the silent hall. Hundreds of nobles watched, their silver eyes gleaming with interest at the unfolding drama. Anna lifted her chin, fighting to keep her face calm. At 20 cycles old, she should have developed the powerful psychic abilities that marked their species' nobility. But despite years of training and countless tests, her mind remained stubbornly ordinary. "Father, please," she said, her voice steady despite her fear. "My diplomatic skills have helped secure 3 trade agreements this cycle alone, and by work with the Engineering Guild." Silence. Lord Vorn's voice cracked like lightning. The crystals in the walls hummed in response to his anger, their usual soft glow turning harsh and bright. "Trade agreements. Engineering. These are tasks for lesser beings. You are my daughter. You should be able to move mountains with your mind, not waste time talking to merchants and tinkering with machines." From the corner of her eye, Anna saw her younger sister Rose standing at the foot of the throne. Rose's silver eyes glowed with barely hidden satisfaction. At just 15 cycles, Rose had already shown remarkable psychic potential, able to lift entire vehicles with her mind. "The bloodline must remain pure," Lord Vorn continued. "The people must have faith in their ruler's strength." He raised his hand, and Anna felt invisible forces push her to her knees. The nobles gasped, not at the display of power, but at the fact that she couldn't resist it. "By imperial law and the power of my blood, I strip you of your title and position." Each word felt like a physical blow. "You are no longer a daughter of House Vorn. You are no longer a member of the imperial court." Anna's ceremonial robes, shimmering with embedded crystals, began to crack. Pieces fell away, leaving her in a simple white undertunic. She heard whispers and quiet laughter from the assembled nobles. Her cheeks burned with shame, but she refused to lower her gaze. "You have until sunset to leave the palace," Lord Vorn said, already turning away from her. "Until then, Rose will take your place as my heir." He gestured to her sister, who glided forward with perfect grace, her own robes sparkling like stars. "Thank you, Father," Rose said, her voice sweet as honey, but her eyes cold as she looked down at Anna. "I will not disappoint you as others have." Anna rose slowly to her feet. The law allowed her to speak one last time before her banishment. She looked at her father, then at the nobles who had once bowed to her, and finally at her sister who had always resented living in her shadow. "You measure strength by the power to destroy and control," she said clearly, her voice carrying to every corner of the hall. "Perhaps that is why our empire has stopped growing. We can no longer see value in anything else." Gasps of shock echoed through the chamber. Even Rose's perfect composure cracked for a moment. Lord Vorn turned back, his face dark with rage, but Anna was already walking toward the great doors. She would not run. She would not crawl. As the doors began to close behind her, she heard her father addressing the court as if nothing had happened, as if his eldest daughter had never existed. Anna squared her shoulders and kept walking. She had prepared for this day, hidden resources, and made secret contacts. Her father had just made the biggest mistake of his life. He had given her nothing left to lose. Tomorrow, she would begin her journey to Earth, a planet so beneath the Empire's notice that it might as well not exist. But first, she had preparations to make and a few loyal friends to thank. They would soon learn that there were many kinds of strength in the universe, and not all of them glowed with psychic power. The trading ship Star Wanderer looked nothing like the elegant vessels Anna was used to. Its hull was patched in places, and the paint was fading, but to her, it was more beautiful than any imperial yacht. It represented freedom. "You're sure about this, my lady?" Captain Tom asked, his green scales shifting with concern. The old merchant had known Anna since she was small, when she used to sneak down to the trading docks to watch the ships come and go. "I'm not a lady anymore, Captain," Anna said, adjusting the plain brown cloak she now wore. "And yes, I'm sure Earth is the only place far enough from my father's influence." She handed him a small bag that clinked with crystalline currency. The captain's inner eyelids blinked rapidly. "This is too much." "It's payment for your silence as well as passage," Anna said firmly. "And for the risk you're taking." Tom nodded slowly. "We leave in 10 minutes. The cargo hold isn't comfortable, but it's safe." Anna climbed down into the hold, settling herself between crates of common trade goods. The ship rumbled to life around her, and through a small porthole, she watched her homeworld shrink until it was just another bright dot in the sea of stars. The journey to Earth took 3 weeks. Anna spent the time studying everything she could about her destination through the ship's basic data terminals. Humans were considered primitive by her people. They had no psychic abilities, their technology was centuries behind the Empire's, and they hadn't even colonized their entire solar system yet. But something about their history fascinated her. They advanced so quickly, adapting and changing with each challenge. While her people had remained largely the same for thousands of years, humans had gone from horse-drawn carriages to spaceflight in less than 2 centuries. Approaching Earth orbit, Tom's voice crackled through the intercom. "You might want to see this." Anna climbed up to the bridge. Through the main viewport, Earth spread out below them like a jewel, swirling with blue and white and green. It was so different from the crystalline landscapes of her homeworld. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Tom said. "Most species live in artificial habitats or underground cities. Humans still live right on their planet's surface, despite all the weather and natural disasters. Tough creatures." The ship descended through the atmosphere, heading for a spaceport in what Tom called the Midwest, a region chosen because it was far from major power centers where Imperial agents might lurk. "Last chance to change your mind," Tom said as they landed. "I could take you to the trading stations on Jupiter's moons. Lots of opportunities there for someone with your knowledge." Anna shook her head. "I need to be somewhere completely different, somewhere I can learn new ways of thinking." The spaceport was chaos compared to the orderly Imperial docks she knew. Humans rushed about their business, talking loudly, bumping into each other, laughing. There were no status markings, no careful distances kept between social classes. Everyone simply existed together. "Remember," Tom said, handing her a small bag of local currency and a data pad, "your new identity is registered. You're Anna Smith, a trader's daughter from the outer colonies. The apartment I found you was paid for 3 months. After that, I'll figure something out," Anna said. She hugged the surprised captain. "Thank you, old friend." As she walked into the human city, Anna felt both terrified and strangely free. The air was thick with unfamiliar smells, food cooking, vehicle exhaust, trees growing. The buildings were made of metal and concrete instead of crystal, and they blocked out much of the single sun's light. A group of children ran past her, laughing. A street vendor called out advertising something called hot dogs. Music drifted from an open window. It was messy, chaotic, and completely unlike anything she had known. Anna took a deep breath of earth air and smiled. Here, where no one had psychic powers, where strength was measured in different ways, she might finally find out who she really was. After 2 weeks on Earth, Anna's carefully saved money was running low. She sat in a small coffee shop, staring at her data pad and trying to figure out her next move. The apartment Tom had found her was simple but comfortable. The problem was finding work that wouldn't draw attention to her origins. The bell above the shop door chimed as a tall man in oil-stained coveralls walked in. He ordered something called an espresso, and then frowned at a device in his hands that was making unhappy beeping sounds. "Something wrong?" the barista asked as she made his drink. "Navigation unit from an old Palmer-class ship," he said, turning the device over. Customer needs it fixed by tomorrow, but I can't figure out what's wrong with it. Might have to tell them to buy a new one. Anna's eyes widened. She recognized the device. It was a simplified version of Imperial technology, probably reverse-engineered from salvage. Without thinking, she spoke up. The quantum alignment coil is probably loose. The man turned to look at her, surprised. You know about Palmer navigators. I'd worked with similar systems in the outer colonies, Anna said, sticking to her cover story. May I? He brought the device over, and Anna quickly spotted the problem. See this panel? The coil behind it needs to be rotated exactly 45 degrees and then tightened. It's a common issue with these models. The man's face lit up with interest. I'm James, by the way. I run the repair shop over on Maple Street. Would you mind showing me how to fix this? I'll pay for your time. That was how Anna found herself in Jim's repairs, surrounded by scattered parts from a dozen different spacecraft. The shop was cluttered but organized, with tools hanging on walls and work tables arranged in a practical pattern. So you grew up in the colonies? James asked as they worked. His hands were steady as he followed her instructions to fix the navigator. Yes, Anna said carefully. My father was a trader. I learned about different technologies from the ships that came through. Must have been interesting, James said. He didn't push for more details, which was a relief. There, is that right? Anna checked his work. Perfect. The quantum field is properly aligned now. You really know your stuff, James said, testing the device. The happy green lights made him smile. Listen, I could use someone with your knowledge. Most of my customers are independent traders who can't afford new parts. Being able to fix old tech keeps them in business. You're offering me a job? Anna asked, surprised. More like a partnership, James said. You know things I don't, and I'm guessing you need work that doesn't ask too many questions. We could help each other out. Anna studied him carefully. On her world, such an offer would have come with countless strings and political implications. But James's face was open, his smile genuine. He simply saw someone who could help him help others. Why would you trust me? She asked. You just met me. James shrugged. You could have kept quiet about knowing how to fix the navigator. Instead, you spoke up to help. That tells me something about who you are. He grinned. Plus, anyone who can fix a quantum alignment coil in 10 minutes is someone I want on my team. Anna felt something she hadn't experienced since leaving home. Hope. This wasn't the life she had been born to, but maybe it could be something better, something she chose for herself. When do I start? She asked. How about now? James tossed her a tool belt. I've got a broken artificial gravity generator that's been driving me crazy for days. Want to take a look? For the first time since arriving on Earth, Anna felt truly excited about something. Here was a chance to use her knowledge in a practical way, without politics or power games. Just honest work helping others. Show me, she said, buckling on the tool belt. It felt right, like she was finally putting on something that fit who she really was. 3 months passed quickly at Jim's repairs. Anna learned something new every day, not just about fixing things, but about humans themselves. Today, she watched in fascination as James fixed a complex engine using nothing but basic tools and his own 2 hands. You know, she said, handing him a wrench, where I come from, people would use mental powers to do this kind of work. James wiped sweat from his forehead, leaving a smudge of grease. Mental powers sound useful, but there's something satisfying about fixing things with your own hands. He grinned. Plus, you can't beat human ingenuity. When we can't do something one way, we figure out another. Anna thought about how her people would react to seeing their technology repaired with simple tools. They'd be horrified. And yet, James's repairs often worked better than the originals. The shop's door chimed. A worried-looking woman walked in carrying a small device. Are you the people who can fix old tech? She asked. My grandmother's medical scanner isn't working. We can't afford a new one, and she needs it to monitor her heart condition. James looked at the scanner and frowned. This is pretty advanced stuff. Anna, what do you think? Anna examined the device carefully. It was actually Imperial technology, probably sold through several middlemen before reaching Earth. She should have said it was too complex, too dangerous to attempt repairs without psychic abilities. Instead, she said, I can fix it. Give me an hour. After the woman left with the repaired scanner, James brought 2 cups of coffee to their workbench. You're amazing at this, you know. Not just the technical stuff, but helping people. I never thought about technology this way before, Anna admitted. At home, in the colonies, everything was about power and status. Here, it's about making life better for ordinary people. Speaking of making life better, James said, I've been thinking. We're getting more customers every day who need help with advanced tech. Maybe we should expand, open a proper consulting business. With your knowledge and my connections, we could help a lot more people. Anna's first instinct was to say no. Staying small and hidden was safer, but she looked around the shop, at the wall covered in thank you notes from customers, at the pile of projects waiting for their help, at James's hopeful face. You're right, she said. We could do more, but I'll need to be careful. Some of my knowledge, it could attract the wrong kind of attention. James nodded seriously. We'll be smart about it. Start small, work with trusted clients. You've taught me so much about fixing things. Now let me teach you about running a business the human way. Over the next few weeks, they planned their expansion. James taught her about Earth's business laws, marketing, and customer relations. Anna was surprised to find she enjoyed learning these new skills. Where once she had memorized court protocols and power hierarchies, now she studied business plans and technical manuals. One evening, as they finished a complicated repair job, James asked, Do you miss it? Your old life in the colonies? Anna thought about the crystal palaces, the political games, the constant pressure to be something she wasn't. Then she looked at her calloused hands, earned through honest work, at the organized chaos of their shop, at the list of people waiting for their help. No, she said truthfully. I think I finally found where I belong. Humans don't care about status or special powers. You care about what people can do, how they treat others. It's freeing. James smiled. Well, we certainly care about what you can do. You've helped a lot of people here. Anna felt warmth spread through her chest. On her homeworld, she had been judged for what she lacked. Here on Earth, she was valued for what she could give. Maybe that was the greatest lesson humans had taught her. True strength came from helping others, not controlling them. The news reached Earth on a quiet Tuesday morning. Anna was showing a customer how to maintain their ship's engine when all the screens in the shop suddenly lit up with an emergency broadcast. Breaking news, the announcer said, her face grave. The Celestial Empire has declared several human outer colonies to be within their territory. All human ships have been ordered to leave these sectors within 7 days. The customer whistled. That's not good. Those colonies have thousands of people living on them. Anna's hands trembled as she watched footage of Imperial ships, their crystal hulls gleaming, taking up positions around human worlds. She recognized the flagship instantly. It bore the royal marks of House Vorn. Bad business, James said after the customer left. Those colonies are too far from Earth for quick evacuation. People have built lives there. He looked at Anna. You're from the outer colonies. Any insight into what's happening? Anna stared at the screen, where her sister Rose was giving a speech. She had grown colder, harder. The primitive species must learn their place, Rose was saying. These sectors have always belonged to the Empire. That's not true, Anna whispered. Those areas were considered too insignificant to bother with before. What do you mean? James asked. Anna took a deep breath. She kept her true identity hidden for almost a year now, but she couldn't stay silent. Not when lives were at risk. James, I need to tell you something. I'm not really from the outer colonies. I was the daughter of Lord Vorn, the Empire's High Commander. That's my sister giving the speech. James sat down heavily on a nearby stool. Well, that explains why you know so much about Imperial tech. He ran a hand through his hair. Why are you telling me this now? Because my sister doesn't understand humans, Anna said. She thinks you'll run away at the first show of force. She doesn't know how quickly humans adapt, how creative you are in a crisis. If the Empire pushes this, there will be war. And that's bad for both sides, James said slowly. I've seen what you can do with our primitive technology. If humans started really focusing on military advancement. Anna nodded. Your people learn and adapt faster than any species I've ever seen. The Empire has been stable for thousands of years because no one dares challenge them. But humans, you'd figure out their weaknesses, develop countermeasures. The death toll would be horrific on both sides. James watched her pace the shop floor. You're worried about both sides, even after your people threw you out. The Empire is arrogant and set in its ways, but most of its people are just living their lives. They don't deserve a war. Anna stopped pacing. And Earth has become my home. I won't let my sister's pride destroy it. What can we do? James asked. It's not like they'll listen to a couple of repair shop owners. Anna's eyes lit up. But they might listen to proof. James, remember how we've been documenting all our repairs and improvements. We've got evidence showing how humans have already matched or exceeded Imperial technology in several areas, without any psychic powers. You want to show them that humans are stronger than they think. More than that, Anna said. I want to show them that there are different kinds of strength. My father cast me out because I couldn't move things with my mind, but here on Earth, I've learned that the ability to adapt, to solve problems in new ways, to work together, that's real power. James stood up and took her hand. Whatever you're planning, I'm with you. But it'll be dangerous. Anna squeezed his hand, drawing comfort from its warmth. I know, but sometimes you have to risk everything to prevent something worse. We need to show the Empire that underestimating humans would be their biggest mistake. The week passed in a blur of activity. Anna and James worked day and night, gathering evidence and preparing their case. Their repair shop became a command center, with tables covered in technical documents and computer displays showing human technological achievements. Look at this, Anna said, pointing to a screen. In just 10 years, humans reversed engineered our quantum drives and made them 20% more efficient. The Empire hasn't improved that technology in 3 centuries. James nodded, adding the information to their report. And here's something interesting. That medical scanner we fixed last month. The woman's grandson improved its design. It now works better than the original. They had sent messages to both Earth's government and several of Anna's old contacts in the Empire. Most ignored them, but a few listened, especially when Anna revealed her true identity and explained why she was breaking her silence. My father's ship just entered Earth's solar system, Anna said, watching the news feeds. They're calling it a diplomatic visit to discuss the colony situation. Diplomatic, James snorted, with a fleet of warships. It's our chance, Anna said. Father always insisted on following proper protocols. He has to grant an audience to any noble who requests it, even a banished one, especially when that person claims to have vital information about a potential enemy. James looked worried. You really want to go up there? After what they did to you? I have to. Anna touched the simple pendant James had given her for her Earth year anniversary at the shop. I'm not going as a daughter begging forgiveness. I'm going as someone who understands both sides and sees a disaster coming. Then I'm going with you, James said firmly. Anna started to protest, but he held up a hand. You've spent a year learning our ways. Maybe it's time they learned something about humans too. Besides, he smiled, someone needs to work the technical demonstrations. They sent their request for an audience. The response came within hours. They would be received on the Imperial flagship the next day. That night, neither of them could sleep. What if they don't listen? Anna asked, staring at the ceiling of their workshop's break room. What if they just throw us in the brig? Then Earth's leaders will know we tried, James said, and they'll be ready for what's coming. He paused. Are you afraid? Yes, Anna admitted, but not of them. I'm afraid of failing, of not being able to stop this war. James took her hand. Hey, remember what you told that kid last week when he couldn't fix his robot? Being afraid is fine. Do it anyway. Anna laughed softly, using my own words against me. They were good words. The next morning, they boarded a shuttle to the Imperial flagship. Anna wore simple Earth clothes instead of Imperial robes and carried a tablet filled with their evidence. James brought a case of modified human technology to demonstrate. As they approached the massive crystal ship, James whistled. It's beautiful, he admitted, like a flying cathedral made of light. It's also incredibly inefficient, Anna said. All that crystal is for show. Humans would have found 10 ways to improve it by now. The docking bay was filled with nobles in glittering robes when they landed. Anna recognized many faces from her old life. They stared at her Earth clothes and her human companion with obvious disgust. But Anna stood tall, drawing strength from James's steady presence beside her. She wasn't the same person who had been cast out in shame. She had found her own kind of power, built something meaningful with her own hands. Ready? James asked quietly. Anna nodded, straightening her shoulders. Let's show them what real strength looks like. The Imperial throne room looked exactly as Anna remembered, all crystal and light, designed to showcase psychic power. Lord Vorn sat on his throne, Rose standing beside him. Both wore expressions of cold disdain. The fallen daughter returns, Rose said, her voice echoing. Have you come to beg forgiveness? No, Anna said clearly. I've come to prevent a war. James stepped forward with their evidence case. Several nobles flinched at his approach, but Anna saw her father lean forward with interest. You dare bring a human before the Imperial court? Rose demanded. I bring proof that you're making a terrible mistake. Anna activated their presentation, and holograms filled the throne room. These are human achievements from just the last decade. They've not only matched our technology in several areas, they've improved it. Impossible, one noble scoffed. They have no psychic abilities. James opened their case. Maybe not, but we have these. He held up 2 devices. The one on the left is your standard Imperial quantum communicator. The one on the right is our modified version. It's 30% more efficient and works at twice the range. Anna watched her father's face. She knew that look. He was calculating, reassessing. Demonstrate, he commanded. For the next hour, James showed how humans had adapted and improved Imperial technology. Anna explained each advancement, highlighting humanity's speed of innovation and creative problem-solving. This is one repair shop in one small city, Anna said. Imagine what humans could do if you forced them to focus all their creativity on military technology. They wouldn't run from a war, father. They would adapt, innovate, and find ways to fight that we've never imagined. She speaks truth, a new voice said. An ancient noble stepped forward. Masterlin, the Empire's chief scientist. I've monitored human advancement. Their rate of innovation is unprecedented. In a war, they would be unpredictable. Rose's face darkened. They are beneath us. We can crush them with our power. Like you could crush me, sister, Anna asked quietly. I had no psychic power, so I was worthless. But look what I built without it. She gestured to their demonstrations. Strength comes in many forms. Humans taught me that. Lord Vorn stood, his robes shimmering. The throne room fell silent. He walked down to examine the human devices more closely, then turned to study James. You came here, he said to James, into the heart of a hostile empire, to support my daughter's cause. Why? James stood straight. Because she believes peace is possible, because she sees value in both our peoples, and because, he glanced at Anna, she showed me that the greatest power isn't in moving objects with your mind, but in moving hearts with your actions. A murmur ran through the court. Lord Vorn was silent for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. "When I cast you out," he said to Anna, "I thought I was removing weakness from our line. Instead, you went and found a different kind of strength." He turned to Rose. "Recall our ships from the human colonies." "Father," Rose protested. "The humans aren't worth fighting because they're weak," Lord Vorn said. "They're worth making peace with because they're strong in ways we never considered." He faced Anna. "We need someone who understands both societies. I reinstate you, not as my heir, but as Earth's ambassador to the Empire." Anna felt tears in her eyes, but kept her voice steady. "I accept on one condition. James becomes part of my diplomatic team. We succeed better when we work together." Lord Vorn nodded. "A wise choice. After all," he glanced at the improved technology demonstrations, "it seems we have much to learn from each other." As the court erupted in discussion, James took Anna's hand. She squeezed it gently, remembering how far she'd come from that day of rejection. She had lost a throne but gained something better, a life where she could be herself, help others, and now build bridges between two worlds. "Ready for a new adventure?" James whispered. Anna smiled. "With you, always."